Hi, my name is Lana. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And on this channel, we review books. Okay, let's hop in. Envy by Yuri Olesha. Got some Soviet Union lit for you today. Things don't like me. Furniture purposely sticks out its leg for me. A polished corner once literally bit me. My blanket and I have always had a complicated relationship. Soup served to me never cools. So, Envy by Yuri Olesha is a Soviet Union satire. Nikolai is taken in by Andre. So Nikolai is taken in by Andre, and Andre has found him drunk outside, and Andre is the model Soviet citizen, whereas Nikolai is not. Nikolai. Hold on, I gotta find out how to pronounce this because my brain wants to say both.
This is Barack Obama.
Nikolai. Okay. Nikolai has this envy towards Andre, and it highlights, you view this envy as a metaphor that highlights the relationship between the Soviet state, the collective, and the individual. At least that's how I saw it. Andre seeks to, I'm laughing because what I'm about to say is crazy. Andre seeks to industrialize the food industry and seeks to revolutionize it with mass-produced sausage. Olesha uses this humorous metaphor to show how mass industrialization, even in an area like the kitchen, has its impacts on the individual. Entities will often mask control under the guise of freedom. War has been declared on the kitchens. You can consider 1,000 kitchens vanquished. He is putting an end to home cooking, eighths of pounds in small bottles. He's assembling all the meat grinders, Primus stoves, skillets, faucets, and kitchen industrialization, you might call it. It's a crazy quote. We're going to give you back the hours the kitchen has stolen from you. You're going to get half your life back, you, young wife. You cook your husband's soup. You sacrifice half your day to a puddle of soup. Listen, housewives, wait. This is what we are promising you. The tiled floor bathed in sunlight, the copper kettles burnished, the saucers lily white, the milk as heavy as quicksilver, and the smells rising from the soup so heavenly, they'll be the envy of the flowers on your tables. Again, this is a satire. So in a narrative like this, again, you get this theme of the individual versus the collective. It's inevitable. Anytime you have somebody critiquing something like this, which is great. It's one of my favorite topics to discuss. In literature, I never get tired of it, so we're gonna talk about it. I wasn't born in the West. Now they'll tell me no one cares about anyone's individuality. The most remarkable individual is nothing, and gradually I'm adjusting to this truth, but it could be debated. I'm having a very hard time finding my heroes. There are no heroes. Volodya was a professional athlete. The other was a professional player. What was important to Volodya was the overall progress of the game, the overall victory, the outcome. Goisk, who was a German, was anxious merely to demonstrate his art. He was an old hand who was not there to support the team's honor. He treasured only his own success. So that last quote in particular, there is, if you are a football/soccer fan, depending on what you call it, depending on where you are in the world, there is a football match in this story towards the end. And Olesha uses it to show, yes, Olesha is critiquing something here, where what happens when the individual is lost or the individual is forced to conform to a group identity. It does have its consequences. There are its cons, but he's also highlighting how there is a benefit to a collective depending on the circumstances. And we see it here in sports. We see it here in this football match. You have Volodya, the Russian, the Soviet, who knows how to use his professional athleticism for the benefit of the team. Whereas you had this German player who was all about the self, and though his skill at the game, yes, help his team win games and accolades, he's still self-seeking here, and it has its cons as well. So there is some nuance here. But again, Olesha is asking, what happens when you lose the individual? I'm having a hard time finding my heroes. There are no heroes. Because you don't want anybody in a certain type of society who sticks out. To expand on this theme, Olesha, and this is probably my favorite in this story, and it's really a novella. He writes this great analogy. It's the comparison of the man versus the machine. And yes, we see this a lot, but the way that he explains it was it was so good. It was so good. It's a comparison that also feels incredibly relevant. It's definitely not irrelevant. It feels incredibly relevant today, especially in the world of AI and how AI and technology are growing at rates that are incredibly scary. Where remember when AI was real choppy and easy to point out and to discern? It's getting harder and harder, and just in like a year or two, how lifelike it can look. And you'll even see it in people's comments on social media. Is this AI? Is this AI? I've seen people question things as AI that aren't AI. And then I see people believing something is real that it's AI, but it looks so realistic. And so also there's the way that AI is being used to create art. I don't consider anything that AI does art, to be honest. Using AI to write songs. And it's worrisome to the creator, the human creator of art and music and what have you, writing, what have you. And it's eerie. But let's go into these quotes. So, and again, a society that is run by, a society that is run by machines is colder, it's more calculated, and it's easier to control input and output, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. Whereas the organic qualities of man create variables in society that may not always benefit the state or benefit those in control who want to gain more control over man. So you try to wipe out the organic variables in human nature. What I envy is, so this is one character who is for the collective, if you will. What I envy is the machine. There's something. Why am I worse than the machine? We invented it, we created it, but it turned out to be much fiercer than we are. Give it its way and it's off. It calculates so there's not a single extra figure. I want to be like that. You see Andrei Petrovich, so that there's not a single extra figure. Then we have this contrast of the organic man and the qualities of the organic man. Pity, tenderness, pride, jealousy, love, insomuch nearly all the emotions comprised by the soul of the man in the era now coming to a close. The era of socialism would create a new series of conditions for the human soul to replace the old emotions. A communist, bitten by the snake of jealousy, is subject to persecution. So too is a compassionate communist subject to persecution. The buttercup of pity, the lizard of ambition, the snake of jealousy. These flora and fauna must be driven out of the new man's heart. The millennia are like a cesspool. Floundering in the cesspool are machines, pieces of iron, tin plate, screws, springs. A dark and gloomy cesspool. And glowing in the cesspool are rotten stumps, phosphorescent mushrooms, fungi. These are our emotions. This is what's left of our emotions from the flourishing of our souls. Again, it's just this contrast, and the way that he does it is this machine and vegetation. So from here, the reader sees how emotions that may be deemed as negative by society, one of those being envy, actually has a role to play in the human experience, and it has a role to play in this narrative. And these negative emotions like envy, jealousy, etc., envy and jealousy are synonyms, my bad. Envy, bitterness, pity, etc., pride, they're negative they can be considered as negative sometimes, depending on the context. But they can still play a role. And what happens when you take those or try to wipe that out of a society? Again, envy is seemingly a negative emotion, but in the context of this narrative, it's the key, for Nikolai to push back in a society that aims to hamper human emotions that don't serve the purpose of society. I feel like that was word salad. Yes, envy. Here a drama must unfold. One of those grandiose dramas in the theater of history that have inspired the lament, ecstasy, sympathy, and fury of mankind without even knowing it. You are a bearer of a historical mission. You are a clot, so to speak, a clot of envy in the dying era's bloodstream. The dying era envies the era that's coming to take its place. Go out with a bang, slam the door, as they say. That's the most important part. Go out with a bang, leave a scar on history's ugly face. Shine, damn it. They aren't going to let you in anyway. Don't give up without a fight. So you can see that Nikolai is not a character that complies. Again, he is lazy in a lot of ways. He's really not, he's narrating. He's not even really that pleasant of a character, to be honest. But even so, what am I trying to say? Because it's there. He does try to fight a system, in a sense, that looks at him like he's the scum of society, in a sense. He's definitely beneath an Andre. He's not really contributing much to society. He's kind of a lazy character. And he is also envious that he is not being elevated in a way that Andre is. Some of his thoughts aren't always wrong when it comes to wanting to be elevated as an individual instead of having to blend in and conform. Wanted to make me your jester, but I became your enemy. Who are you fighting, you scoundrel? You shouted at your brother. I don't know who you have in mind. Yourself, your party, your factories, the stores, the apiaries. I don't know, but I'm fighting you. The most ordinary of aristocrats, an egoist, a voluptuary, a numbskull confident that everything's going to work out for the best. Comrades, they want to take away your principal wealth, your home and hearth. The seeds, of revolution thundering up the black staircases, crushing your children and your cats, smashing your beloved hot plates and bricks, want to burst into your kitchens. Women, your pride and glory, your hearth is under attack. Mothers and wives, they want to smash your kitchens with the elephants of revolution. Tell them, each of us wants to sleep on his own pillow. Don't touch our pillows. We are still unfledged heads, as rusty as chicken feathers, lay on these pillows. Our kisses fell on them in a night of love. We've died on these, and the people we killed died on them too. Don't touch our pillows. Don't summon us. Don't lure us. Don't tempt us. What can you offer to replace our ability to love, hate, hope, cry, regret, and forgive? Those last two quotes in particular, chef's kiss. And it really shows how pillow in the kitchen represent some of our most intimate spaces, especially the pillow representing the bedroom. These are where our most private and vulnerable actions can take place. And one, which is what this character is arguing, should resist the state from infiltrating our most human and vulnerable and personal of spaces. What does it mean once you've allowed the state into your bedroom? Again, taking your pillow, getting into your kitchen. You have nothing left at that point. I'm going to wrap up. These are just quotes that speak for themselves. I think I've said all I needed to say. This is a novella. It's very short. I mean, This edition by New York Review Books is 152 pages long. And despite its length or lack thereof, Olesha packs a lot here to chew on. While reading it, there were times I was like, I had to let the story take me where it was taking me. There were times I was like, what's happening here? There were some parts of it that maybe seemed a little bit abstract to me, but over time, as I kept reading it, it made more and more sense to me. I'm not saying that I grasped everything as I was reading it. What? My arm is itchy. I'm like, did I get bit by a mosquito or something? I just had to stick with it and be patient with some things because I wasn't grasping all of it at first. I had to let the author take me where he was taking me. Also, this was published in a literary magazine, a Soviet magazine, in 1927. And after this, the Soviet Union, he pretty much, his writing career is pretty much over after this. I can't say I'm surprised. It ruffled feathers. He's critiquing. So, but this is an odd little story. I am not going to lie. It's a little odd. It's humorous at times, maybe oddly uncomfortable because some of this stuff has been a little close to home. When you look at society today, it's a little dense at times. Some of the analogies or metaphors, again, I can't say I grasped all of it. So some of it can maybe seem abstract. I don't know if dense is the right word, but I'll use the word abstract. I did enjoy it. It wasn't necessarily a favorite, but it has lingered. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I'm glad I read it. This is a book, again, that I picked up on a whim. I was in a bookstore back in June, and it was on a shelf. The staff at that particular, you know how you go into a bookstore and they'll have staff picks? This was a staff pick, and the cover just threw me in. It drew me in, and I read the back of it, and this is what hooked me. Andrei, a model Soviet citizen, a swaggeringly self-satisfied mogul of the food industry who intends to revolutionize modern life with mass-produced sausages. Nikolai is a loser. So I was like, I want to read that thing. And so I read that thing. The bookmark fell out. Can't say that it was a favorite, but I did enjoy it enough. A 3.5 out of 5 is not bad. It very, very thought-provoking. And so, have you heard of this? This might be one of those, again, novellas or stories that's a little bit more under the radar. If you are curious, if you are aware of it and you haven't read it yet, and you're curious to read it, I say pick it up. There is a lot to chew on. I feel like I'm being repetitive. Thoughts and comments below. Have you read this? Have you not read it? Or are you aware of it and just haven't read it yet, but it's on your TBR? So feel free to, I already said that. Feel free to give me a comment below. Also, feel free to follow me on Instagram, where I post all of my bookish content first. All of my reviews actually go live there first. I post every Sunday a new review in my feed. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you in the next one.